You are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
Come on down, bitches. This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo. It is week 14. The NFL, it's already started. Evo got a great jump off to the week. I'm behind. We got 12 games to pick today. I'm excited for a lot of divisional football coming up this week. But my guy, before we start jumping into football, Evo, how you doing? Welcome in. How's the weather out there? Because it's cold as fuck here in Ohio.
I mean, the weather's generally nice. I think we're seeing 40s, 50s at night and 60s, 70s, and maybe tapping into 80s a little bit during the daytime. You know, it's a nice, balmy Arizona wintertime, which I would prefer to be a little bit cooler because I like hoodie weather. But it's pretty beautiful out here. Look, and I can't complain. Things are doing great out here, you know. I'm not having my wig slapped off like a United Healthcare CEO or anything like that. So, like, life is good. Life is good.
Yeah. That'll be the last time any claims get denied for a while.
I don't think it's going to make a single difference because
probably not.
Companies are just going to keep rolling along.
They'll just start wearing vests.
Yeah. We're doing things over Zoom. Yeah.
That would probably be the right way to do it. Yeah. Nobody's going to go outside anymore. That's all right. That'll be fun.
It didn't delay their meeting.
Show.
It didn't delay their meeting. So, you know,
no.
make sure the investors are happy.
Because if you weren't convinced that your job would replace you in a heartbeat, look at what they did to that guy.
Yeah, love it.
But let's talk about some football, man. We got a lot of games coming up. You and I have worked I've been kind of floating around the 500 mark. You have worked your way back from out of the depths to a plus 500 mark now that you got the Thursday night game, right? Evo, you went crazy last week, 12-4, back up to 97-1. I was 9-7 last week. Decent week. I needed higher than that though to make any money, but also 97-1. I hate to do this. I have to give myself the red. I'm going to give the Packers the green. Every lieutenant in the world is freaking out right now because there's red all over this fucking Excel spreadsheet when we need green slides. But Evo, good start to the week, brother. Good start to the week. We ready to start diving into the rest of these games, see if I can't come back and both of us push over that 500 mark?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, we talked about this last week, but we are focusing ourselves in such a narrow spectrum of only against a spread and having to pick every game. To be at fucking 500 or floating around that or above, that, in my opinion, is pretty awesome because it's difficult to do. Obviously, you look at just picking against the spread and money line last year, how we were able to do better. Like, we're tightening that shot group to a point that it's near impossible to maintain what we're doing. So I'm pretty proud of how we're performing. And you can see that we've just consistently gotten better throughout the year. You know, you have up and down weeks, but, you know, sooner or later, we're going to start just kind of consistently being above 500 each week. I think that was, a couple weeks ago. Now we're just going to kind of keep rolling. We'll be good for the rest of the season, I think, because, look, we are in week 14. We know what these teams are now. We've seen how the injuries are affecting them. We've seen what teams are scrappy, which ones are just kind of rough, which ones are having a glow up in the second half of the season. So I think we're going to continue doing good. And look, we got to fire through these games because I just had 4 shots of espresso.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
And I'm about ready to restock the lake with brown trout. So we got to get through these games, buddy.
I had scrambled eggs with hot sauce and just cracked my first beer.
-105 odds. I think when I checked this last night, it was actually -5.5 points, possibly. Lines might have moved a little bit here. But look, I know which way I'm going in this one. These are your Browns. Go over it. Let's hear what you got for us in this one. After the Snow Bowl game that happened a couple weeks ago, where your Browns were able to get one on the Steelers.
Yeah, man. So Browns fans were riding high. I know I especially was riding high coming off of that win over the Steelers in the Snow Globe Bowl or whatever the hell we're calling that thing. That was a great game. It's a fun game to watch. You talked about it. It was like that visceral football reaction, and it brought me back in. Like I was like, you know what? The season's not over. You go out, you win a tough game, and I know we were pretty close to being done. Right? We were hanging on by a thread, and then we lose to the Chargers and in tough fashion. Jameis plays great, but also plays terrible. And because it's both of those things. It's not that he's kind of playing a mixed bag. There are moments of absolute brilliance on the field from Jameis Winston. And there are complete lapses. And that's always scary when you're talking about your starting quarterback. Nick Chubb has struggled at times to look like his old self. However, the blocking scheme has also been terrible. The offensive line is in shambles. The Steelers right now are playing good football. Russell Wilson is playing some of the best football of his life, his career. George Pickens is a fucking dog. One of the craziest dudes I've ever seen with his body control. But he fucked up. Trying to say that you don't know who somebody is on an opposing team. I don't know who Greg Newsome is. Yes, you fucking do. I don't know why the Steelers continue to do this. We are having a bad year. 100%. We are going to play swing and miss or fucking swing and bomb football. That's exactly what we're doing. So to act like you don't know who somebody is, that we can't, we just played you and we just beat you. The disrespect is ridiculous. The Steelers are a better fucking team, no doubt, especially this year. They are going to give us at least a cover here because they ran their fucking mouths like this again. So, yeah, give me the Browns plus the points. I know they're better. I know the Steelers are better. Give me the Browns plus the points.
Alrighty. Well, I guess I'm continuing that disrespect. I'm dropping the points here for the Steelers. Look, you guys did get a win in those weird conditions. I guess not weird for that neck of the woods, the lake effect, snow and everything. Steelers, they are a playoff team. They're a team that's hunting for a Super Bowl. They think that they can go deep in the playoffs. They have been playing a really good brand of football. Russell Wilson showed last week going up against that Cincinnati Bengals team that he can all out, that he can keep that offense in it with anybody. Now, look, Bengals, and we'll talk about that. The zero defense. Lou Anarumo is a fucking joke right now of a defensive coordinator because of what he's putting together on the field on that side of the ball, allowing the Steelers to put up that many points. Your defense should be able to hold the Steelers offense to less points. But then you go into Denver and you have this, complete shootout game. So I don't know. I don't know where that's at.
Two of those touchdowns were allowed by Jameis Winston. That's
sure,
not fair on the defense.
But you can kind of count that at any given week because Jameis might throw up 353 touchdowns, but he's probably going to throw a couple picks with that too. And the way the Steelers are playing, I feel like they were disrespected in that game, that they were looked at in a disrespected view because they lost to the Browns, and the Browns have been having such a terrible year. I feel like this is a statement game for the Steelers if they want to make a statement that they're meant to be here. That game was a fluke. Whether or not it was, that's going to be their stance. The whole George Pickens thing, I don't really give it a whole bunch of credit because George Pickens is a fucking psycho. He's just he might not know who Newsome is because he is, I don't want to say unprofessional, but like he's very weird with his craft, at least outwardly. The play on the field, the comments that he makes are just like he's Antonio Brown 2.0. He just hasn't had enough hits to the head yet. So I'm not giving a whole bunch of credence to that because that's just George Pickens. I'm dropping the points here for the Steelers. I feel like they are going to try to make this a statement game. It could be well more than a touchdown that they win by just because I think they're trying to make that statement. So I'm dropping the points here for the Steelers.
All right. We will see.
All righty. Next up, Vegas Raiders going into Tampa. Tampa Bay favored -6.5 points. Raiders +6.5, -105 odds, or you can drop those points for Tampa -115. Raiders almost get one there on the Chiefs. Aiden O'Connell looked like he's a little bit more of a dog than you would believe because it's Aiden O'Connell. But Tampa coming off the bye. They are fighting right now for that NFC South in a close race. Baker looking all right. They got Mike Evans back hunting for that 1,000-yard season. Where are you going at in this one, Mike?
So this is another interesting game because I think we're going to end up going opposite directions. The Bucs are a better team. They're a drastically better team. Mike Evans is healthy. Baker's playing pretty good. Baker is a little banged up. When we've seen this exact same script before with Aiden O'Connell and this Raiders team at the end of the year, where he starts to kind of play pretty good, and this Raiders team is competitive, at least. They might not win, but they'll at least be competitive. 6.5 points is a lot. That's a whole touchdown. These games at the end of the season are not typically these big, massive fucking blowouts. Teams get a little more even. Injuries catch up to other teams. I'm taking Raiders plus the points. Aiden O'Connell keeps his team close. Maybe they don't win this thing, but I don't see a blowout coming by any means.
Yeah, I am going opposite in this one. I'm dropping the points here for the Bucs. Look, I think that right now the Buccaneers, this is kind of reminiscent of last year, where they at the end of the season kind of run the card and become one of the hot teams to look at going into the playoffs. I think that the Bucs are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to win that NFC South when it's all said and done. The Raiders gave it their all last week going up against the Chiefs, but also remember the Chiefs are really not that good. They're kind of a false team right now. It took some interesting calls there at the end, whether you believe that they're correct or not, to keep the Raiders from winning that game. But that was also against a very good defense and a team that, they're trying, it's a rivalry game. Like there's a lot going into that. And then it's just completely demoralizing, right? The Raiders, I don't think have a consistency element in their team at all. Fuck, excuse me. Pardon me.
Bless you.
So I'm going Buccaneers in this one. I think the Buccaneers have a chance to run the card and almost win out this entire rest of the year. Look, they got the Raiders today. Chargers is probably their most difficult game next week for the rest of the season. Then they have the Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. Don't sleep on those kitty cat Panthers. But they could absolutely run the card here, and that would probably end up winning them the South. So don't sleep on the Bucs coming off of a bye. It just feels kind of like last year where they're going to run the card at the end. Bucs drop the points. 6.5 is a lot at this point, but I think that the connection between Baker, Mike Evans, and the way that Bucky Irving has been playing is going to be good for that team. So Bucs drop the points.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Tennessee Titans. Titans are favored at home minus 3.5 points at plus 100 odds, or you can give the 3.5 to Jacksonville minus 122. Mac Jones, the starter there. Trevor Lawrence out for the year on IR, not because of the concussion, but the surgery on the AC joint. Obviously, lots of talk around that game from the Jags and the Texans in the previous week, and Alshire being suspended for 3 games and having that suspension upheld. I still think is a travesty. I'm happy that a lot of NFL players and former players are coming out now saying this is garbage, that quarterbacks need to be held accountable. You got a comment there, Mike?
I also agree that the quarterback should be held accountable. I thought it was going to be 1 game. 3 is way too fucking many. I thought 1 game was going to be the reasonable thing to do because they were going to make an example out of somebody because it's a quarterback who is now out for the season for whatever reason they want to call it. But the optics obviously look bad, and the NFL cares about the optics more than they care about anything else because you got to protect the shield above all.
I think that the optics are turning, though. When you're having Tom Brady, potentially the greatest quarterback of all time, come out and say, this isn't okay, that quarterbacks need to give themselves up more, or once they leave the pocket, they're a runner and it shouldn't fucking matter. Like, it's not the best look. It's making the game look a little bit, sissy, especially when there's tons of clips out there just keep on resurfacing of Pat Mahomes doing fake slides or looking like he's going out and then he continues to run more. Like they need to have that be a fine and a penalty, in my opinion. And again, reviewing the video of Alshire, now, yes, he's had several penalties this year.
And that's why you have to have the suspension.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I mean, he doesn't lead with the head or anything. He hits him with his arm. So you could say he might be trying to peel off, but I really like the Mark Schlereth video that I put up on our Facebook where he's saying if you look and you slow it down, Trevor Lawrence, when he starts his slide, Alshire is already lower than him. He's already coming in lower than Trevor Lawrence in order to make the hit. You're talking about 0.3 seconds between the pause into that clip and when the hit happens. It is impossible for a human to change that. What are defenders supposed to do? You're leaving them zero option. It is either let the quarterback run and make a play or do what you're supposed to do as a defender and create havoc, tackle them. You have no other option. And I saw someone else last night saying, if I'm coaching the teams, I'm telling my guys, hey, under the table, even if we have to, we'll pay your fines. You hit these quarterbacks. Don't let them fucking even consider it. Don't care.
Deflategate. Going to not Deflategate. I'm sorry, Bountygate.
Yeah,
Fucking Bountygate
essentially.
2.0.
Like if it's a quarterback that is known for doing this, i.e. Mahomes, they said, hit him. If you're out of the game, that sucks and we'll deal with it. If you get a fine or suspension, we'll deal with it. We'll compensate you appropriately and we'll help fight for you. But we have to show the NFL that we aren't going to stand for this. You have to take down the quarterback if the NFL is not going to have some sort of a fair field out there. And I kind of get it.
That's how we get two-hand touch on the quarterback, though.
I mean, it should be if the quarterback then breaks the pocket, they're down. Like
that takes away that completely changes the NFL that the NFL wants to go to with these mobile quarterbacks.
Absolutely. So the NFL should probably grab themselves by the fucking balls and understand, oh, we're playing football. It's a wild concept, I know, but
hey, let them have it, Evo. Take it to them.
We gotta fucking start to play football again. Look, I will say this again and again. I do not think that was a malicious hit by Alshire. That was a defender making a defensive play. You know what a malicious hit looks like. We've seen Vontaze Burfict out there. That wasn't it. And so a fine, a suspension, I don't think any of that makes sense. If you want to call the penalty, okay. Like 15-yard penalty, I don't like it, but I get it. You're taking this outside of the game and trying to affect outside of the game. That's unreasonable to me. Either way, we'll get into this game. Jags going out there with Mac Jones. Tennessee Titans going out there with Will Levis. Who do you got in this one, Mike?
Listen. I can't go with the Jags after what has happened to this team all year. The Titans are playing better. They're running the ball well. So their quarterback play is still very similar to the Browns quarterback play. You have absolutely no idea what you're getting on a week-to-week basis. But I don't think we're going to see anything special out of Mac Jones either. This Jags team has been bad all year, even when they had their starter in there. There's no way I could take this Jags team. Now, do I like the 3 and a hook? No, the hook always kind of sucks in these games. But I'm going to drop the points. I'm Titans minus 3.5 for me, man.
Vegas is begging us to drop the 3.5 points here, which is usually a signal, but it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why would the odds be plus 100 to drop the points for the Titans, who are obviously a better team right now? They're not great, but at least they play competitive brand of football. The Jags with Lawrence in there competed and were competitive with a lot of teams where they shouldn't be, but they still were losing those games close. That's why I could see giving the 3.5 points, but we're talking about a team that is dejected. Is their GM going to be around any further? We don't know. Is the head coach going to be around any further? We don't know. Those players, I don't know how they have a whole lot going for them, thinking like, yeah, we should continue. Like you have the bottom of the roster guys trying to play for the jobs, but still, like it's a dejected team, a broken front office, a broken locker room. I'm dropping the points for the Titans too. I don't get it. This is one of those that we absolutely should be looking at what Vegas is saying here and giving the points to Jacksonville, but I just can't do it. I'm dropping the points for Tennessee.
Yeah, man, when they're asking you to take the points with the odds, you're like, man, they're doing this on purpose. Like Vegas is fucking smart. Every casino has $1 million chandelier in that bitch for a reason. It's because they're good at this. But and we say this every year. I think this is the 3rd year in a row that we've had this exact same thing. Like we don't understand it. We'll see what happens.
And typically we're wrong on those.
Yeah, we are. Typically,
Like,
Vegas is right.
Typically Vegas is correct. So,
Yeah.
but look, you got to go with the plum pick here, and for me,
Agreed.
It's the Titans. All right, next up we have the Carolina Panthers going into the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored, no joke there, by 13.5 points, minus 118 odds, or you can give those points to the Panthers for minus 104 odds. Now, look, Eagles, I'm not saying I'm going to eat crow because I've been saying, hey, we need to pump the brakes on them a little bit till we see them do good stuff consistently. They've had 3 consistent weeks of good games. They are the real deal right now. Looking very good. Saquon has obviously got to be in that MVP conversation.
Should be.
But the Panthers also have been kind of a running joke. Like, hey, you don't want to face this Panthers team right now. They're doing something. They're kind of fucking doing something right now. Like they are punching way above their level. How long can that continue going forward? I don't know. But like they are doing good things out there. They don't have a defense, but they're doing good things. And to have this game be right around a 2-touchdown game, it kind of brings into question where we should go with this one. So what are you thinking about this game, Mike?
You convinced me last week that I was like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to take the Panthers plus the points because they are playing better. Bryce Young is playing better. Listen, and this game could get kind of ground down. A lot of Saquon Barkley, a lot of running, slow tempo to this game. Maybe not a ton of points because they can just have your 12, 15 fucking play drives. So I'm not betting on a ton of points. I think the Panthers keep this thing within 2 tuds, man. I'm going Panthers plus the points. Give me the 13.5.
Yeah, and it's a vibes pick here. I think the Panthers are vibing right now. Bryce Young is starting to look like at least an average quarterback. He's looking like he can fill the role well. You have Adam Thielen back, who's putting up some good production for you. That's opening stuff up for the rest of the receivers out there.
Last year too, didn't they?
Yeah, he was the only option there. Like Deontay Johnson wasn't doing anything for him.
He ain't doing anything this year either.
Well, yeah, he's not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
So and obviously being benched there for the Ravens. But look, Brooks hasn't done much as a running back there. Chuba Hubbard has absolutely been playing very well for them. Can compete. And now the Eagles defense is very good. But this is the thing is that the Eagles right now, they are in the hunt for the top seed in the NFC. If the Lions drop a game at all here, which they almost did on Thursday, but if they drop a game here, the Eagles are going to be right there to try to swoop in and take that first seed. I don't think that they're trying to play the same sort of brand of football as the Lions where they just want to blow everybody out and go full bore all the time. Like they're going to be smart about this because they've been in the playoffs recently. They've been in deep playoff runs. They know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. They're probably going to get out ahead in this game and just play kind of a quiet, run the ball brand of football. And I think that is going to allow the Panthers to keep it closer than it probably should be based just on roster talent. I'm giving the points to the Panthers as well. 13.5 points is a lot, especially for the way this Panthers team has been playing. No disrespect to the Eagles at all, because if this is a money line bet, this is an easy one. Take the fucking Eagles. But Panthers should be able to be close enough to keep it within the 13.5. I'm going Panthers plus the points.
Yeah. So Eric agrees. Listen, if we were doing if this were a different year where we're doing our money line bets still, that's for sure what this bet is. I don't think about touching the spread. I just say, take your fucking $2 off the Eagles and run away. That's absolutely the right play here. But since we got to take more of the spreads, we're going plus 13.5. Eric, thank you for joining us over there on Facebook. And to everybody, no matter where you're joining, thank you for joining us right now. If you got the time, please head on over to our YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube. It would mean a great deal to us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, continue to grow this show and everything else that we're trying to do at the No Sleeves Network. We'd appreciate it. But Evo, my man, let's hop into that next game.
Yeah, next one I'm really excited for.
I bet you
Vikings at home versus the Atlanta Falcons and the return of Kirk Cousins, the Kirk Cousins revenge game, right? Right now, yeah, the Vikings favored
for giving him a beautiful home, a great team, and then letting him go where the fuck he wants to go.
Yeah. Vikings are favored -6.5 points at -102 odds. You can give the points to the Falcons for -120 odds. Now, this was a kind of a major odds flip. When I last looked, it was 5.5 points, and it was more like 115, 120 for the Vikings to drop the points. Now that is flipped. This is the thing. All right.
Wait, hold on. Because I got this. I have it on my bet -5.5 for the Vikings. I'll ruin it right now at -120. What did they flip to?
It is -102 for the Vikings, -6.5 points, and -120 for the Falcons, +6.5.
So they bumped up the point rather than do. Okay. So now we got to go at 6.5. All right. That stinks.
It stinks, but I don't think it's going to matter. Look, Kirk Cousins looked awful last week. I've got a little bit of experience with Kirk O'Chains, right? He is known for having a stinker here or two, and then the next game he comes back and he'll play really well. All right. But this is the thing is I put out a stat last week from Bill Simmons, by the way. It was a joke stat. I didn't know it was. It got a lot of people. It's come out as a joke stat that he didn't throw for over 35 miles an hour in that entire game in an indoor stadium, first time ever. It's a joke stat. Okay. But if you watch the tape, you could believe that it's real because he was just throwing a lot of ducks out there, and why there was a lot of interceptions.
Oh, medicine balls?
Yeah, it was a really awful game from him. Now, look, I know what Kirk Cousins can do. I know that he can dissect the defense and that he can spread that ball around and do really well. But at the end of the day, nothing this year has told me that he is what he was last year. He still has it between the ears, but physically, look, he's 36. Age is catching up, coming off an Achilles. You cannot plant. You already were immobile before that Achilles. Now you're even less mobile. He is the worst quarterback under pressure this year, or one of the worst. And what does this Vikings defense bring? Tons of pressure. Now, the question is, does he have that insider information? Is he Nancy Pelosi in this one where he's going to be able to know exactly what Brian Flores is going to be bringing to the table? Not necessarily. Look, when Kirk is with the Vikings, he's going up against the scout team every week, except for in training camp. That, like, plain and simple, he has a couple weeks of experience in training camp from 2 years ago of what the Brian Flores defense can be, but that is without Andrew Van Ginkel. That's without Jonathan Grenard. That's without Dallas Turner. That's without Blake Cashman. That's without all these pieces that the Vikings are bringing to the table. They're playing a different type of defense than they did last year. It's still aggressive, but it's a different look. It's a look that they know Kirk Cousins does not play well under pressure, and so they're going to bring it. They're going to try to rattle him. Oh, yeah. And without very many sacks last week, he was still putting up 4 fucking interceptions and a lot of bad play. The Falcons offense and their playmakers do scare me, but we've done good against the run. I think that we can hold Bijan and Algier. We've allowed a lot of it's a weird bend but not break style defense where we'll allow a lot of passing yards, but you're not getting a lot of touchdowns in the red zone. I love the way that this matchup goes. Kirk Cousins and all of his issues kind of got ironed out by Kevin O'Connell, right? So who's going to know his weaknesses better than Kevin O'Connell? You think that KOC and Flores aren't talking and that KOC isn't going, yeah, so we kind of were able to smooth over these issues with Kirk Cousins and stuff like that and make them less of a problem. This is what you need to attack. Like, he knows Kirk's head. He knows how to go after him.
Just double A gap the fuck out of Kirk. And it's game over.
You don't need to contain him.
Exactly.
His leg is containing
double A gap the fuck out of Kirk and just go at him. That's how you beat Kirk.
Absolutely. And then on the flip side, the Vikings, Sam Darnold is good under pressure, but he doesn't have to worry about it this week. Look, that
you can't get any fucking pressure. I'm sorry.
The Falcons last week, for the first week, actually, their defense showed up a little bit. They had some pressure last week. But you got to look at the whole of the season. It has not been a thing. I don't expect them to get a ton of pressures. They might look at what the Cardinals did last week where they're sending 7 guys to pressure Darnold. Darnold still made it happen, especially at the end of the game. Look, there's a lot of history between this Vikings and Falcons team. Kirk O'Chains is just the most recent thing. It goes all the way, at least for me, back to 1998 in the NFC Championship game. Will Reichert is coming back. He's a kicker that I can trust. John Parker Roma, thank you for your service. You are gonna get a job somewhere. I like this game more than a touchdown, man. Like I liked it when it was 5.5 points. I like it more than that. I think this could be closer to a 10-point game. At least I'm dropping the points from my Vikings, not just because I'm a homer, but because this isn't a Kirk Cousins revenge game. This is a Vikings revenge game. The Vikings are looking at Kirk Cousins saying, "You took so much money from us. We weren't allowed to build rosters because of you, and you leave for a shitload of money, and we bring in Sam fucking Darnold, Darnold Schwarzenegger, and you got fucking better stats, better play." A fan poll out there by Phil Mackey of Purple Daily Crew. Would you rather have Sam Darnold right now or Kirk Cousins, agnostic of contract? Like 83, 85% were on Sam Darnold because he's younger, he's more athletic, he is putting up better statistics. Like, and I'm in the same boat. I don't think that with Kirk Cousins, with his lack of mobility, with that ankle, lack of strength, I don't care how good he is between the years. He's just not physically able to compete as well. I feel really good about this game, man. Like it's one of the only games this year that I felt really good about because I think we're going to be able to get in Kirk Cousins' head. And yeah, I'm dropping the points for my Vikings here. I love this game.
Yeah, so I'm going right there with you, man. Because you were making all my points. That's why I had to jump in there because Kirk is not mobile. You guys bring pressure more than I think anybody in the league right now.
Yeah,
Kirk is the worst in the league against the pressure. Like he can't play. The Achilles is not healthy. He is not healthy. You can go look up in New York at fucking Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not healthy. You guys are going to blitz all day. You're going to get home. They're not going to be able to get pressure on your offense. Like I don't like taking your Vikings very often at large point spreads because you guys refuse to beat the shit out of somebody. This might be the week. I'm also Vikings -5.5.
look,
Because I agree, this is not a Kirk Cousins revenge game. Like
the bank is going to be popping. The U.S. bank is going to be popping for this game. You think that the fans haven't had this one circled on their calendar all year and the Vikings haven't had it circled? They're going to be out there making it hell for him in that offense to operate.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. Love this game.
I bet you do. I know you were waiting for it because you've been waiting to get a chance to just rub it in his face all year. You've been, you were trying to get Penix to play already.
It's not just me. There are some credible reports coming from the locker room there in Atlanta saying like people are looking at, can we trade Kirk? Can we get Penix in at the end of the year? Like technically the Falcons are still in the hunt for that NFC South, but again, I think Bucks are going to run the table. This is going to be the start of the downfall for the Falcons here, is going up against this Vikings team. We very well could see Penix here in the near future because if Kirk gets roughed up in this game or has just another fucking stinker, like it's not going to be grumblings anymore. There's going to be a loud contingent saying, let's see what Penix can do, because I don't think that there is any doubt out there that right now Penix is more physically talented. I think the physical limitations are the biggest problem with Kirk Cousins. So if you have a team that's being limited by your quarterback's physical
that's mostly
play,
his legs, though, because his legs are gone, dude. I think he's still got a good arm. I mean,
the arm is connected to the legs. He doesn't have the velocity or the strength.
Sure. The velocity is gone. His placement's still good, though. His accuracy is still good.
Sure.
That's one thing where maybe they're different throwers of the football.
Yeah.
Penix has a fucking rocket attached to his shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't think Kirk ever did.
No. He's always had adequate, throw strength and everything. I just think that right now, if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm probably leaning towards I want to see what Penix can do because maybe he provides that little bit of spark. We've got all these offensive weapons. If Kirk can't get the ball to him,
the field a little bit for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens after this week with that quarterback situation in Atlanta. But we'll move on from this game.
All right. We're both Vikings -5.5.
All right. Next up, New York Jets going into Miami. Miami's favored -6.5. Jets +6.5. You can drop the points for Miami -104 odds or -118 odds to give the points to the Jets. Breece Hall expected to be sitting in this game. I think that's why there's been a lot of movement here. This was, I think, 3.5 points at one point. dropping 3.5 for the Dolphins here.
Evo, you said that the odds. I'm sorry to interrupt. The odds changed on the last game to 6.5, right?
Yes,
not 5.5.
Correct.
Because they were minus 120 at 5.5. Now 102,
Yes.
6.5. Sorry, and this game's still 5.5.
No, this Jets Dolphins game is minus 6.5 points now.
Ooh.
At minus 104 odds. And again, I think this as early as yesterday was 3.5 points for Miami. So I guess the Brees Hall news has dropped things a lot, or changed things a lot. Either way, Miami heavily favored in this one by almost a touchdown at minus 104 odds, or you can give those points to the Jets for minus 118 odds. Mike, where are you going in this one?
So I know that we're going different in this one. This is a plum pick. I think that Mike McDaniels is probably getting fired after this year. And I believe that this loss is going to be the thing that kind of puts the stamp on it. I know that this Jets team is not great, especially with Aaron Rodgers on offense. But this is my upset of the week, man. I think the Jets go out and outright win this game. I think the defense for the Jets is going to get it to a little bit. They're pretty good at stopping the run. All Aaron has to do is not turn the fucking ball over, and I think they can beat this team. Miami is up, they're down, they're so wildly inconsistent. You do not know what they're going to do week in, week out. And that has been a growing trend, and the volume is getting very loud about Mike McDaniels. I like Mike McDaniels. I think he has the ability to be a really good head coach at some point. But I think he's jumped the shark at this point. He's lost a little bit of the narrative. The cool guy thing's not fucking working anymore. I'm taking the Jets plus 6.5.
All right. I was dropping the points for Miami earlier when it was a smaller spread there. I'm going to stick with it. I'll take Miami minus the 6.5 points here. I think this Jets team is just kind of terrible overall. They got beat by that Seattle team in New York a week or so ago. Miami put up 17 points against the Packers in Green Bay in a shitty game. Tua played pretty decent in that game. I feel like Tua at home, that the weather differences and everything, that 17 points is a lot closer to 30 points in Miami. I like what the Dolphins can do on offense. Their offense has been looking better. That's why I'm not so sure about McDaniels being fired at this point. Like, their defense is not good, but the offense, especially with Tua out there, is showing up pretty well still. I think that Dolphins
they completely lost one of their guys. Like, Waddle, except that one fucking game, has been non-existent for the entire year. So while maybe sure they're looking better, they have completely lost one of their main weapons that they wanted to pay, and then continue to, like, that is a huge problem in my opinion on what this offense is doing. I like Mike. I like the offensive scheme as well, but something is off right now. They're not playing as well as they have shown in the past. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to reiterate this point because I've said it a couple weeks now. Fuck the Jets. Fuck the Jets. This is just a feeling to me, man. Like, the noise has grown so loud around that Miami fan base that I think that there are actual problems inside that locker room that are brewing. There are people calling for his head. Now, I understand Tua's out, but even when they have been all together, it hasn't looked like it has in the past.
Yeah, the last year was maybe the outlier in that respect because he was schematically coaching that team unbelievably well. The schematics are broken down. Maybe people have gotten their figured them out a little bit. Either way, I'm going Dolphins in this one. Like, Jets, yes, they do have a decent defense. They play a lot of man. Tua has been doing well against zone. We'll see how he does against that man coverage. I'm dropping the points here for Miami in this one. Even though Vegas is telling me go opposite direction based off of how they're giving the odds for this game. All right, next up, New Orleans Saints going into New York versus the Giants. Giants plus 5.5 points at minus 110 odds, or you can drop those points for the Saints at minus 110 odds. Sexy Dexy Lawrence out for the year, elbow injury, biggest part of their defense. Look, I've been heralding this Giants defense, great front seven. I think that he was kind of the linchpin holding this thing together. the rest of that team, it's not imploding, but when you have the players talking shit about what they're doing with Daniel Jones, that it doesn't make a difference. Like the biggest, best part about this Giants team was that front seven. Losing Dexter Lawrence, I think, is going to have huge ramifications. I could see Alvin Kamara having a huge day in this game because he's kind of the offense for that Saints team too. So look, I want to give the points to the Giants. I've been known to be giving the Giants a lot of points this year, but I'm dropping the points here for New Orleans. I think that this is going to be a big Alvin Kamara game. Saints minus the 5.5.
I'm going the other way, brother, because you're talking about the loss of Dexter Lawrence. That is a big loss for this Giants team, no doubt. But you want to talk about a big loss to the Saints offense? Taysom fucking Hill. We're not going to listen to the Taysom Hill calls. He became a massive part of this offense when the head coaching change switched. Like, he was his dude. Taysom Hill was getting the rock a lot. Now, can people kind of recreate some of that? Sure. But nobody's going to give you that same dynamics of that Taysom Hill back there at the running back spot, the fucking quarterback spot, tight end, where he could line up all over the fucking place. And I think that that's something that this offense is going to severely miss. So can the Saints win this game? For sure. The Giants are trash, but they got to win by a whole touchdown. They got to win by 6 fucking points. I don't know with the loss of Taysom Hill of his offense, how it's going to look. I know Alvin Kamara is a dog, but I like the Giants plus the points late here in the season. Give me the extra points. I took a lot of points this week. So,
all righty. Next up, divisional matchup: Seattle Seahawks going into Arizona versus the Cardinals. Cardinals are favored minus 2.5 points and minus 118 odds. You can give those points to Seattle for minus 104 odds. All right. Arizona loses a close one this last week to my Vikings. They do some good things. They do some bad things. Kyler gives up some turnovers that he really shouldn't be doing. Season 1 revamped of Warzone is out now for Call of Duty, something to pay attention to. Meanwhile, Seattle Seahawks, again, they get that nice win versus the Jets. Get a defensive tutty from the big man. Things are looking good there. The big thing for me here is that this is a divisional game. These divisional games tend to be played very close. In addition to that, I believe 5 out of the last 6 times that the Seattle Seahawks have gone into Arizona, they have covered. They have absolutely had the Cardinals number in Arizona for whatever reason, to a heavy extent. I'm giving the points to the Seahawks here, not necessarily because I like the Seahawks better. I do like the Cardinals team better, but I'm going to give the points to the Seahawks because this should be a close one. This is a divisional matchup. Those tend to be pretty damn close. And if you're going to give me points in one of those games, I'm going to take them for a team that I could see potentially winning this game outright. So I'm going to take the points here for the Seahawks. Not that I not necessarily like them, but these games tend to be played close. Seattle plays really good in Arizona, and they already got one on Arizona this year as well.
Yeah, so because they already got one on Arizona, Arizona knows what they're going to do a little bit. I'm going the opposite way. I think that Arizona had a down week last week, but this is overall a more sound team than the Seahawks are right now. If they can get James Conner going, which they have to make sure they get that run game going, I think that Kyler outplays Geno Smith, I don't know, 70 times out of 100. So if we're going to talk about a close game, dropping 2.5, a field goal feels fine. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things that can happen. You can get 3 field goals in a game like this from one team and a couple of touchdowns. It's a tough fucking call. I just cannot go with a team that I've been kind of cold on the Seahawks team. I thought they were a middling team. Then they played worse. Then they get a win. Like this one win is not going to be like, oh man, the Seahawks. And I'm also not necessarily going to turn down this Cardinals team that I thought was on the up and up because of one bad week. And they played you guys, who I think is very good, very close. So I think they can win this game, and they'll win it by a field goal, which is good enough to cover my 2.5.
Sure. Another note here, Kenneth Walker, I believe, is expected to be out in this game. Zach Charbonnet is probably going to get a majority of the work.
And even more so solidifies my point, the Cardinals, man. You want to switch?
No. I'm sticking with it.
All
Gotta
right.
stick with it. All right. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears going into San Francisco. San Francisco is favored in this one, -3.5 for +100 odds. You can drop or give those points to the Bears, -122 odds, 3.5 points. You have Thomas Brown again, head coach interim now for the Chicago Bears. San Francisco, they are down all their running backs. Got
All
Isaac Guerrero. I don't think Abanaconda, who was signed off the Jets practice squad, I don't think that he's going to be active. I'm not positive, though, on that one. So expect it to be a Guerrero game for the 49ers on the ground. But look, 49ers season is pretty much lost as of right now. Bears, however, they are trying to rebuild what they can there. They're trying to compete in that NFC North still. I don't think they have a chance for the playoffs anymore, but they're trying to show that, hey, this was a coaching failure on this squad. We actually have the talent here. And we've kind of seen that, how the Bears have, especially since they switched offensive coordinators, they have looked a lot better. Now, not having Eberflus in there, this feels like you're getting that coach bump in this game. Like, typically the head coach swap, there's a chance for a head coach bump when you get that coach swap. We saw it happen with the Saints. Didn't expect it to, but we saw it happen. We kind of saw that with the Jets when they switched their head coach. Like, they played a good game. This is the first true head coach change where I feel like we're going to see an actual bump because this team wants to prove Eberflus was the problem. We are much better than we are. And they're getting points in this one. Yeah, it's in San Francisco. I'm taking the Bears plus the points in this one. I feel good about it.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with you. I think the Bears are kind of swinging up right now. The coaching change is a positive. We've talked about this for years now. Those in-season coaching changes, they only happen for two reasons: because your team's fucking dog shit or your coach is dog shit. When it's the coach, there's always a boon. The team always gets better, plays better. And the problem with the Bears was the coach. It was the head coach. Flat out. Everybody could see it. And the final nail in the coffin was this last game where he completely blew time management. So I expect a continued boon from this Bears team who will play better. 49ers, they have been ravaged with fucking injuries all year. So you just chalk this up as, hey, it wasn't our year, tough year, down year, injuries hurt us. We'll figure out who's coming back, who's not. We'll go back and attack from there. You don't get too crazy if you're a 49ers fan. You're not upset. You don't got to worry about too many different changes. Just get excited for a high draft pick this year because you guys don't normally get them.
All right. Next in our afternoon slate of games, Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams. Rams getting 3.5 points at -110 odds. You can drop a 3.5 for the Bills at -110 odds. Mike, where are you going in this one?
So for me, man, this Bills team is really, really good. Have been really, really good all year. This Rams defense,
Maybe the best in the AFC.
Maybe the best in the AFC. Probably the best in the AFC. If we really,
They feel like it to me.
Yeah, especially after we beat the Steelers ass today. The Bills are a team that I think is destined to go on and do some really, really big things this year. The Rams are a fun story. They're healthy. But I think the Bills actually just beat the hell out of them here. The Bills are going to get out of the weather. They're going to get to go play indoors. Like, it's not a good thing for the Rams that the Bills are going there. This Bills team can beat the shit out of you in the elements. So playing indoors is going to be even worse, I think, for this Rams team. I can't see any way to go Rams here. I don't know if you're feeling that, because I know you're kind of feeling this Rams team a little bit, but I just don't see it in this game. I'm all in on Josh Allen and the Bills.
Look, I love this Bills team. I think that they're going to be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. And I think that Josh Allen should be the MVP. I am taking the Rams plus the points here, though. Sean McVay and Stafford in December, extremely efficient, extremely good against the spread. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp match up well versus this defense. I expect a big day from Puka in particular. Kyron Williams has shown to be good. Look, the only thing that scares me about this Rams team is the defense. But the Buffalo Bills, like they're going to be able to put up points against this Rams team. But McVay is a good coach. I think they're going to be able to keep this one closer than one might expect. I think the Bills could win by a field goal in this one. But because they're not playing out in the elements, because they're not playing with the Bills Mafia behind them, at the stadium there, I think it is a different type of game. Those sorts of weather games, the ones in Buffalo with the Mafia there's a different vibe. The Bills just kind of get on a roll there. I think they're going to have a good game, but I think it's going to be different playing indoors. Like, it's very uncommon to hear about like a quarterback who plays better in the weather, in the elements outdoors. You'll hear more of Jared Goff type stuff. They play really good in a dome. I think it's kind of it's the other way around with Josh Allen playing indoors. I think he plays a different brand of football. We saw this versus the Texans, where he did not have a great game versus the Texans, and it was a very, very close game. Came down to the end. And I feel like that's what could happen here with this Rams team. The Rams offense absolutely can put up a ton of points. Their defense is susceptible. That's how I think the Bills will win, but I'm going to give the points to the Rams in this one.
Bro, when you asked me, I was like, I know this motherfucker is going Rams. I felt it in my bones you were going Rams, because you said at the beginning, like even before the show started, I feel like we're going a lot of the same way. I was like, I'm not sure that we are now that you said that. And then as I was like talking to you, trying to explain to you why the Bills is the right choice, because I fucking knew you were going to go Rams. You love Sean McVay.
I don't, though. I don't like the Rams. I don't like Sean McVay, but I feel like the way that he coaches his teams is kind of undeniable. He keeps them in the games, especially down the stretch. Like Rams teams that typically shouldn't be personnel-wise, shouldn't be competing with some of these teams, especially in December, always are competitive, always are close, and always are vying for a potential playoff spot. It's where I feel like this Rams team is this year, and I'm not going to deny the history of what Sean McVay is able to do with these teams. Like, he's able to keep games close and get his teams sneaking into the playoffs. So I feel like they could still be doing that this year.
All right, man. So much for us being alike this week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Sunday Night Football, LA Chargers going to Kansas City.
I was going to make a
Chiefs
joke, but I don't feel like either one of us are appropriate to make that joke right now.
Excuse me. George Pickens inactive for today's game. Really?
I did not see that, producer Amber. Where in the fuck did that happen?
Not that I don't trust producer Amber, but Mike, while I'm going on the launch of this one, please double check.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find it.
That makes a difference for sure. Anyways, LA Chargers going into Kansas City. Chiefs minus 3.5 points at minus 118 odds. You can give those points to the Chargers for minus 104 odds. Ladd McConkey is the big name here. Ladd McConkey is a actual true game time decision. He is questionable after getting injured last week. He's been the offense passing wise outside of Will Dissly for this Chargers team. If he's not going, it makes a big difference. That being said, the Chiefs, they almost lost to the fucking Raiders last week. Now, this is prime time. Kansas City Chiefs, you don't discount Mahomes in prime time. This feels like it should be a Chiefs win, right?
Yep.
If McConkey's playing, though, it should be a closer game, in my opinion. Any news there on the George Pickens front?
Yeah, George Pickens inactive today due to a hamstring.
Interesting. All righty.
Suck it, Steelers fans. Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
I'm sticking with my pick. With my pick. Okay, move it. All right. Well, Chiefs and Chargers here. I'll be completely honest. I want to give the points to the Chargers here. That's assuming that McConkey's playing, because McConkey's questionable, but I'm assuming that he's going to be playing. Where are your thoughts on this game, Mike? How big of a factor is McConkey playing or not to you?
So Ladd playing is a huge factor, because that offense is kind of bereft of playmakers on the edges, especially with J.K. Dobbins being out, man. Like, J.K. is a guy that I expect to run between the tackles, but you can get him out on the edge, and he has some great game-breaking speed. McConkey, you can get out. He will take one. Yeah, I put that up there already. Good call, producer Amber. Obviously, like you have Johnson, but it's so wildly inconsistent that he's going to go down the field and win a jump ball. So, like, if McConkey doesn't play, how are they going to stretch the field really at all, vertically or horizontally? Because that's one thing that J.K. Dobbins and Ladd McConkey could do. Maybe not vertically, but they will spread you out a little bit because of the things that they can do. You already got J.K. out for the year. If McConkey can't go, it's a huge, huge problem. I think McConkey will go, though. I really do. And regardless of that, I am so down on this Chiefs team. By the way, I don't know if you saw all the people on the TikTok. They had a field day with that video that producer Amber put out with the Pat Mahomes. Whew. Listen, Pat Mahomes has not played great. This Chiefs team has not played great. They've played good enough to win. They haven't played great football at any point this year.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're a great team. If Ladd McConkey plays and the Chargers defense shows up, which I expect it will, the Chargers can keep this thing close. If not, outright win this fucking game. Because the Chiefs could have and should have dropped the game to the Raiders, another divisional opponent. And the Chargers are a far superior team. Taking the Chargers plus the points.
Alrighty. I'm going to take the Chargers plus the points as well in this one. I feel like McConkey's going to play. I feel like Harbaugh is – you're going to have a bunch of like no-name guys going out there doing stuff outside of where they should be. That's just the way that Harbaugh started off the season. We didn't expect a lot from him. And he's going to be able to provide that same sort of coaching boost to this team and keep it relatively close in Kansas City. That's the thing is Kansas City, it's going to be not dreadfully cold or anything like that, but it's going to be colder elements. Maybe that plays a bit of a factor, but I'm going to take the Chargers plus the points in this one. But I would expect Kansas City's probably going to pull this one out by 3 or less points.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if the fucking Chiefs win this game, there is no way that they're going to cover. They don't cover. So
I'm taking the Chiefs, dropping the points. You said no way. All right. Chiefs minus 3.5 points at minus 118 odds. I'm going there. Yep. Chiefs minus 3.5. You sold me, Mike. There's no way. There's a way now. It's Chiefs prime time. I'm not McConkey.
Chiefs minus 3.5 for Evo. Got it. Totally not a strategy to catch back up for the game I lost.
You flipped me there. All right, and then that takes us to our Monday night game. We have the Dallas Cowboys at home getting 5.5 points at minus 110 odds versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, Lou Anarumo, your job is fucking hot seat. Bengals minus 5.5 at minus 110 odds. You have Micah Parsons coming out saying that he wants to see the whole cast back, apparently, including coaching. I think it's because of his comments a few weeks ago where it seemed like it was disparaging against Mike McCarthy. He's trying to make up for it, but I think in reality, most of those guys probably want a little bit of a shake up there. This was such a bad year for this Cowboys team that they're probably looking for something. I'm just going to be blunt with it. I'm dropping the points for the Bengals. The Bengals offense can put up hella points. I don't know that the Cowboys defense can hold them. Yeah, the Bengals defense is not great, but other than CeeDee Lamb, like that offense isn't scaring me for the Cowboys. I think that play in and play out, like the Bengals probably can put up points on almost every single drive in this game, whether it's a 3-pointer or a touchdown. So I expect them to win by at least a touchdown in this game. Bengals minus 5.5.
Same way, man. The Bengals offense is spectacular. Their defense is hot ass. But you could just double CeeDee Lamb the entire night, and you'll shut down that entire offense. They don't run the ball efficiently. And here's the thing. If the Cowboys can't prove that they can run the ball against this fucking Bengals team, they can't run the ball against anybody. Because this Bengals team is the worst team of football at stopping the run. Like, I just don't see it happening. I just do not see any way that the Cowboys are competing. The comments by Micah Parsons are wild to me. Why would you want to bring everybody back? I understand maybe that's the right PR thing to say.
It's the long play, Mike. You bring everyone back, the team will suck. Then you have to get rid of me. Like it makes sense. Let Micah go, right? Let him. You can throw all the money in the world at him, but I don't want to be here because
he'll just not fucking sign a deal. He'll get franchise tags, and then he'll just not sign a deal. He can become the highest paid player in football. Well, I take that back. The highest paid defensive player in football by being the top paid, the franchise. You know, is he gonna be counted as an edge? How's that gonna work?
I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Either way, he can get out of there if he wants to, which he probably should.
Yeah.
Complaining Cleveland.
All right, Mike. Show our picks for the week. It sounded like I thought we might be close, but we are very divergent.
Yeah, we are very diverse this week. I went Browns, you went Steelers. I went Raiders, you went Bucks. We both went Titans. Both went Panthers, both went Vikings. I went Jets, you went Miami. I went Giants, you went Saints. I went Cardinals, you went Seahawks. Both on the Bears. I go Bills, you go Rams. I go Chargers, you go Chargers until I convince you otherwise, and you go Chiefs. We both go Bengals.
Big Isaiah Pacheco game for the Chiefs here. Big Isaiah Pacheco game. It's going to be fantastic. Love it. All right, let's take a look at our Lineman Lounge parlay, Mike. Let's see what we got. Talk us through your parlay for the week.
Mine is pretty simple, man. Jameis Winston throws for a fuckload of yards. That one's easy. I think that we're going to compete. We might win now. The George Pickens ain't playing. Kyler Murray, I expect a big game as well. 226 is pretty low for a starting quarterback. He hasn't necessarily thrown for a ton of yards, but this Seahawks defense isn't necessarily great either. And this Jets-Miami game, if the Jets are going to win like I think they are, no points are being fucking scored in this game. So I'm taking the under. And 44.5, like the Jets are going to win this thing. It'll be like 20-17. That's where I'm thinking this score is. So I'm playing game script on that one. That'll give you plus 611 odds.
All righty. I'm going for a big touchdown day from people. We got Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown. He has not had a touchdown in weeks. He is absolutely due for it. He probably wants to go out there and get a touchdown because he is the best wide receiver in football, and he wants to prove it against his old quarterback, saying, hey, look, I got Sam Darnold out here. I can still do all this without you. Jefferson, anytime touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 2 or more passing touchdowns in this game. I expect him to kind of eat against this Raiders team. And then Saquon Barkley. Look, he's been playing fucking fantastic. They are going up against a bad Panthers defense, and I expect it to be dictated by the run script in this game. 2+ anytime touchdowns can be in the air or on the ground, but I expect Saquon to get plenty of work there to kind of, again, control that game on the ground, not let it get completely bloated. So 2 touchdowns anytime from Saquon. That gives you 867 odds. That's a big one in this Lineman Lounge parlay from me. But it's a touchdown day in my parlay.
That Saquon 2 tuds is, I like that just as a straight bet. What do you know what that pays? Is just a straight bet?
I do not, off the top of my head. Actually, I took a picture of it earlier. I'm sure I can, if my phone wants to unlock. Plus 180.
Plus 180? It's not terrible.
No.
Saquon will score a shitload. But yeah, that's not bad at all. Plus 180.
All righty. And that wraps it up for this week of football.
So short week, 12 games. A lot of teams on bye. But man, I was like, we're going to be a lot. When you said that this morning, I was so excited. I was like, hoping that we were going to have a lot of picks the same. And then after we started, it's like, ain't none of these fucking picks about to be the same about. So
it worked out well for me last week.
It did. It absolutely did. Not that I want to necessarily have you have a down week, me have an up week. I want both of us to have good weeks. So once again, we're rooting for every game that we pick the same. We want those games to go that way. And then if we split from there, I believe we'll actually be over 500. So that'll work for me. Hopefully the people can make some money. Guys, you can bet the whole thing. You can bet mine. You can bet Evo's. You can pick and choose. Hopefully we made some good arguments to you guys about why we're going the way we're going. But yeah, man, I don't have anything else. We got no other crazy news hopefully coming out, unless it's more people not playing for the Steelers. Is TJ Watt sitting out today? That'd be fucking dope.
It would be embarrassing if you guys lost to him with TJ Watt sitting out too.
That's true. Well, I mean, last time he didn't even fucking show up. So what does it matter? That felt good. That felt real good. All right, brother. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir. I'm ready to go. Again, drop some kids off at the pool. I'm sitting on a cigar right now, so ready to knock it out. We got just under 50 minutes till game time. Some exciting football action here on Sunday.
All right, guys. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge, but we're going to get the fuck out of here. If you want to interact with us, go to any one of the places below. You got X, Facebook, TikTok, the call line, and the YouTube. Once again, if you guys would not mind, please bounce over to our YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. It would be a huge benefit to us, and we thank you for your time. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful for that. But with that, we're going to get out of here. Evo, give the people one last word.
You like that? You like that, Kirk?
All right. I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is the Lineman Lounge. See you.